What's up, Mortgage Coach community? I am sitting down with a good friend and a friend who just gets better every year, which I'm super pumped, Hunter. I still remember the time. How many years ago was it that we sat next to each other at one of the RPM sales rallies I spoke at, and we just spent a day together, like saying stupid shit and smart shit to each other? When was that?
6 or 7 years ago, at least.
Well, that was, to me, that, like, I knew of you by reputation before that, but that was like the beginning of a friendship that I just hope keeps getting better every year.
Yeah, feelings mutual.
Right on. So Mortgage Coach community, Hunter, if you pay attention to this community, you know this. Hunter does something called Sunday Thoughts. I'm fortunate enough to be in that email list. Hunter is to say he's a top producer is an understatement. I mean, he's one of those, what do you call it? Like franchise players. You know, like at whatever company he's at, he's going to be a needle mover. He's a core coach. He's a father. He's a husband, and he's a cool dude. So Hunter, let's do this whole call around Wednesday thoughts, because today is Wednesday, and okay. I've got some thoughts to share, and I know you always have some thoughts to share. How's that sound?
Yeah, it sounds awesome. Love it.
All right, guys, and we're going to keep this to like 15, 20 minutes. So if you have questions or comments, put those down below. So Hunter, first of all, how are you and your team closing out the year from a production standpoint, and what is the goal for next year?
Okay, so I mean, Dave, I admire the heck out of the people that haven't dropped in volume. I am not that person between company acquisition, not probably being as focused as I'd like to be. So we will finish the year at 145 million.
Okay, and that's off. What was it?
That's off 50%. So last year was 300 or 290 million. I mean, I think it's actually a good point for everybody. It's something I'm kind of coaching on, which is I know it should be obvious to a lot of us, but I think we have to be making decisions off of 18, 19, 17, 18, 19 numbers as opposed to 20, 21 numbers. So.
But by the way, Hunter, I mean, it's still an incredible amount of families being served.
Sure.
Getting advice. You're a mortgage coach. You're a great leader, and so there's still a lot of value you're creating in the world. Even though it's half of what it was in 2021.
Right. It's half of what it was, but it's as high as anything I've done before those last 2 years. For 7 or 8 years, it's always between 100 and 140 million bucks. So trying to remind my team that. It's not all, like you said, it's not just based on I'd like to say we're always going to have our best year, but I guess it depends on how you categorize what your best year is.
All right. And then what is the goal for 23?
Goal for 23 is 170 million.
Nice. Okay. Love it. 170 million. All right. And anybody, if you have questions for Hunter or me, put these in down below, whether you're watching this in YouTube or you're watching this live in our Facebook group right now. So before I get into, like, call it leadership thoughts that we both have, what is your number one mortgage coach strategy coming into January? What is the TCA that you think is going to create the most value for realtors, for loan officers? Anything you're doing from a mortgage coach perspective?
Well, I know we are talking, you hear obviously 2-1 buy downs are just the topic of choice, but I think that's for a reason. So for me in my market, which is higher loan amounts, what we are doing, and I talked about on your last call, but we're being honestly better at it right now, is we are looking at our top 40 realtors and literally figuring out who has listings, how long they've been sitting on the market. And then just forwarding customized 2-1 buy down videos on that particular listing. I ran it by a couple of my whale realtors who do a ton of production, and they absolutely love it. So that is where I will be spending a lot of time. I mean, I think there's just, in general, I know people have been doing it for listing agents in general. I think it's important, when you're doing something for people that you work with already, it's more impactful as opposed to you're providing value to them, you're being useful to them, as opposed to quote unquote selling them on some idea. So we're just going after right now the business partners that we have relationships with and doing those videos for them. And I think something I talk about all the time, Dave, is just like the perception of value versus real value. I think they're both super important at different points in time, right? And right now, we need to create a perception of value, and then we have to execute on the actual value of it. But to me, doing those 2-1 buy downs is a perception of value for our business partners.
Yeah, and anyone, I'll put a link down below to the last interview I did with Hunter. And at that time, he was just getting after it, every week. I mean, I don't know if you were doing it every day. You were educating realtors about buy downs with the Mortgage Coach TCA. And then as a core coach, you were also telling all the loan officers that work for you. Was it 40 realtors a week or 40 realtors every 2 weeks?
Yep.
What was the
assignment was in a 2-week period of time, do TCAs on buy downs for your top 40 realtors.
Okay, so assignment, guys, that's still an assignment. It's still super important. It's not like realtors all get it now and they understand when and how to use a buy down to sell a home, to avoid a price reduction, to get a pre-approval under contract. Like, it's still super important. So anything else on that before we transition into some leadership thoughts?
I think just the fact that, we all get stuck going, well, everyone's doing that. People aren't. It's just like you keep talking, like I keep talking about it. I don't know if Northern California is different than other markets, but not that every time I end up having an in-depth conversation on what a 2-1 buy down is, it is like a new conversation for the realtor that I'm talking with or the buyer that I'm talking with. So I just don't think you want to make any assumptions that everyone else is already doing it, because we're all talking about it as a community. I'm not sure how many people are actually, putting it out there to realtors and buyers.
And my last final thought on this strategy, and it's not like you have this conversation with a realtor one time and they get it. First of all, different properties that have different needs. The rates are changing all the time. And for an agent to get it and understand it, they need to hear it a dozen times. Totally. So keep it going. And then I also want to remind everybody, as rates start coming down, it's going to be more important that we really master the conversation with that person that owns a home and their interest rate starts with a 2 or a 3. And we either need to make the case to that consumer that, hey, rent that home out and still buy that move-up home. Or, you know what? Selling that home makes sense and moving up makes sense. Like, you're going to have to show the net worth. So yeah, from an interest rate perspective, you're not going to win. From a monthly payment, maybe it's a little hard to swallow, but look at your net worth. If you believe there's going to be X percentage of appreciation, what does that mean to you in 5, 10, 15, 20 years? So everyone, that is where the puck is going. Like, if you want to be the Wayne Gretzky of the mortgage business, you need to really be good at those conversations that I think we will see as we enter spring home buying season. Anything else before we switch to Sunday thoughts?
No, man. I disagree with you 100%.
Okay, guys, we got about no more than 15 minutes left. I've got one savage thought that I want to share, but you go first. Like, of all the Sunday thoughts you've done that you just think you can bring some value in 5 minutes, what do you think would be valuable to the Mortgage Coach community right now?
I think, if people can write this down quickly, I did a class with Monica Jones, good buddy of mine, in Scottsdale a couple months ago. And I think it has to do with mindset, and it has to do with business planning, and it's simple. And just big picture, the way that we started the class out, and something I've been talking to people a lot. I've been doing these for my business partners as well, my realtor business partners, is literally like 8 high level questions from a mindset perspective, which is, the first one is, are you lifting people up? Are you sabotaging their joy? Like, literally just, what are you bringing to every conversation that you have? Are you acting like a buffalo or a cow? Right? We've all heard the story, but buffaloes runs into the storm to get out of it quicker. Cow, just kind of follows the storm and gets trapped in it. Number 3 is, does your team believe that you're the right person to be following right now? And I think that's true for our business partners is too. Like, do our business partners believe that we're the right people to be working with right now? The 4th question is, do you have the right team? Literally, the market has shifted so much, whether or not it's your internal team and whether or not, those are the right people to have with you, or your business partners. One of the things that I'm focusing on, Dave, in 2023, I'm trying to be careful with how I talk to people about this, but it's basically like, my business model in 2023 is based on, do I want to answer your phone call or not? If I see Dave Savage calling me, do I want to answer that phone call or not? Because if we're in, like, I think we have the greatest jobs in the world when we're working with business partners that we like and with clients that appreciate what we're doing for them. And we can't control the client all the time, but we do have a lot more control over our business partners than we give ourselves credit for as far as who we're working with. So number 5 is just, how much am I worrying about the things that are out of my control? There are so many things that are out of our control. Number 6 is, how much time am I focused on the stuff that I do control? Number 7 is, my favorite quote from Jim Rome, which is, you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And just being laser focused on who I am in fact spending time with. Number 8 is, what am I doing to better myself? What am I doing to have a better life on a consistent basis? So those were kind of the 8 just big picture mindset questions we gave them. But then the 5 very tactical ones, and I heard this from another coach, so I don't know where this came from exactly, but it helps me with my team and business planning, which is just asking yourself in each department. Like for me, I looked at it for my own personal development. I looked at it for my own team in the mortgage industry. And then I looked at it for my clients and my business partners. And I asked these 5 questions, which is, what is working? What is not working? What do I need to start? What do I need to stop? And what do I need to learn? And we would just go around and ask the team, we just went around 5, those 5 questions. I mean, I won't take the time right now on going through each individual examples of them. But when you go through that effort, it's such a simple, I think some of the business planning, everything that we're trying to work on in 2023, if you just ask yourself those 5 questions, you get a hell of a lot more clarity, than trying to picture what the year looks 12 months out. I mean, I know I can look at my own results in 2022 and say, what was working, right? What wasn't working? What do I need to start doing? What do I need to stop doing? What do I need to learn? I mean, right now, from a learning perspective, we need to be better loan officers than we've ever been. Going back to something you've talked, you coined it, which is lenders have never been so out of shape. And the more we are learning, literally. I mean, Dave, how long have you tried to get me? I mean, my team's always used MortgageCoach. I mean, I'm 7 years into this now, and here I am doing it, right? Like, I'm kind of an example of an old dog learning a new trick, even though, you've been telling me to do it for 7 years. And now I'm actually taking the time to do it myself and kind of going, holy crap, why wasn't I doing this, the whole time? So anyway, those are, I would say, if I could give you a useful Sunday thoughts, it was writing about that class, those 8 high level questions with the 5 tactical level questions on executing.
So, gosh, so much to unpack there. So, by the way, guys, I just looked up Hunter's TCA, him and his teams. You guys, and I don't know if you know this, Hunter, you and your team have done 75 total cost analysis in the last 30 days. So you're definitely walking your talk. They've done 2,652 TCAs. So Hunter is a grandmaster mortgage coach times 2. So, the epitome of a mortgage advisor. And then he's a philosopher. I hope everybody, if you're a manager or leader, like what he just shared, you should be doing a branch manager's sales meeting around those 7 things, and come prepared. Like, be transparent. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm stopping. This is what I'm starting. This is what I'm learning. I really pray, not just because I'm Mr. Mortgage Coach, but if you're a loan officer, transactional loan officer, playing checkers, it's not going to play well for you next year. Like the game has changed, and it's more of a chess game. And you need to be able to go into a family who thinks they want to buy a home, whether it's a first-time home buyer, and you're going to give them a rent versus own, and you're going to show them how to build wealth with real estate, or whether it's a move-up buyer, and you're going to help them become an investor. And that investment might be moving up and helping them decide when moving up is the right time. It might be second home. It might be, hey, let's buy an Airbnb in the wine country. You need to be able to help a family, or they've got a kid who's getting ready to go to college, and you're like, hey, let me show you how, helping your kid buy a duplex, triplex, or fourplex, is going to help offset college expenses and help you build wealth with real estate. Guys, it's a chess game moving forward. And I like to say the North Star is becoming a data-driven mortgage advisor, just like a good person that really cares about helping people. So I'm going to do a podcast next year called Savage Insights. And if I was doing it, I'm going to share what my Savage Insight is for the day. It's Wednesday, and I knew I was going to be interviewing Hunter, so I had to come with some fire. I think this totally fits with everything you said, by the way, Hunter. So I don't know how many people in this community have been watching Coach Prime, Deion Sanders. I've been watching, I've always liked Deion Sanders because he's a ridiculous athlete. He has fun. And he's always been one of those ridiculous athletes that has fun and is a good person. Like, you just knew that, like, this is not an uncool dude. Like, this is a super cool leader. But what he's accomplished as a football coach and as a coach of young men, as a builder of young people, it's like, I only wish, you can only hope that your kid has someone like Deion Sanders as a mentor, because he drives performance and winning, and he drives character, and he's a character first leader. At least that's how I see him. So I follow him on Instagram, and he did this post today, and the big takeaway I took from it was, be a blessing, not a stressing. So, by the way, that is me quoting Deion Sanders on Instagram today. Now, when I saw that, I was like, oh, I love that. Wrote it in my journal. Like, that's my new favorite quote. But I enhanced it, because one of the things that I've been really big on, I don't know that I said this a lot in public in, call it mortgage coach land, but my kids always know how focused I am on, the older I get, the better I'm getting. I've had a lot of friends in high school. I've had family members that they get a little more bitter every year. So I want everybody to think about that. So I always just tried to, like, personally be someone that gets better, not bitter. And I always, whenever I talk to my kids and my family, it's always like, okay, there's two ways to look at that. One way is going to get you better, and the other way is going to get you better. And so, like, my daughter, it's so powerful to her that she's 23 years old, and she's been like, Dad, thinking about getting a tattoo. And I'm like, what is it? And she's like, better. And I'm just like, hell yes. In fact, if she gets it, I told her I would get one too. I don't know how big it will be. I don't know where it will go by body, but if she does it, I will have a better tattoo somewhere on my body. So here's the savage insight of the day. Guys, get better, not bitter, by being a blessing, not a stressing. And I do think, as we close this year out, as we go into 2023, we need that message. Like, I will be saying that to myself. Like, that'll be a self mantra coming into 23. And I just push anyone that follows Mortgage Coach, follows Sales Boomerang, follows the whole no borrower left behind movement. By the way, the camera's following me. I hate it when it does that. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
You're like, what's going on over there?
Yeah, it just started.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, there's the t-shirt. So Hunter, I'll give you the closing thoughts. Any comments to that? Any closing thoughts from Hunter Marckwardt?
No, it's kind of hard to top that. What I would say though is, like, for me, I think for all of us to have 2, 3, or 4 words that we are focused on and repeating every single minute of every single, like, for me, it is faith and health. Like, for 2023, the business model is working with people that I want to work with, because I'll love my job that much more, and it will make me want to go out and do that. But literally, like, if I focus on my faith and my health consistently, which I don't always do, I come on and I fall off. If I just focus on those 2 things all year, I will have a better life. So that's what I'm focused on. And I think everybody just has to, whatever you're focused on, make it be known, and, go on repeat mode. So you're always, you're checking yourself. So what, if you had one word, I actually had this conversation with my son a couple of days ago, and his word, Jack Savage's word of 2023 is action. And I'm like, ooh, I like that. And he's got a whole bunch of things around that. I'm still trying to figure out what my word is going to be for 23, but if there was one word for Hunter Marckwardt, what's the one word
for you?
Can I got to go two. I got to go one personal, one business. So the business one is basics and the personal one is health.
Basics. All right, guys. Well, we got to wrap. I hope everyone got value. What's your word? Put it down below in comments. Hunter, you are the man, brother.
Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for having me, Dave.
Yeah, make sure you give this a like if you got value, and make sure you subscribe to the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel if you don't already.
Thanks, everyone. Happy holidays.